So, hope you're scratching your head still. Kathy, any idea? What's CrossFit?
You want me to remember 10 slides ago? No.
I'll give you a little hint.
High intensity, functional movement. I don't remember what it's called.
That's constantly varied.
Constantly varied.
Constantly varied. And you're still going to be scratching your head. Because it's a program that increases work capacity across broad time and modal domains. Words. Right? No wonder why CrossFit's such a struggle to tell somebody what they do, right? Oh my goodness. But this is the best part about the actual method of what we do here on a day-to-day basis, for me at least, when understanding this. So, let's look at some common scenarios. I love to run. Just don't like to lift. Not for me. Putting a bar, right? That's pretty scary. I mean, hey, look, that's Big Joe thrusting 300 pounds over his head. That's intimidating. But I'll tell you what, though, not to these people. I don't need to do a pull-up. I can't do this or that. I have, this boo-boo because I'm X years old, and my doctor told me I shouldn't and can't do this or that. These are common scenarios of why people might not try CrossFit on top of maybe some other stigmas, right? They don't want to try and explore new things. And to some extent, we may live in this society where this idea of our physical human potential. Now, do you need to do all this stuff that we do to live to being 100 years old? No, not at all. There's a beautiful documentary out right now about living till you're 100, and no people do any of this stuff. They just have a lot of other factors that play into it, but we're looking at thriving, optimal human performance, being better. Looking at our physical body is not just being complacent, right? What can we explore and do more? How can we express more? So that's the idea of physical potential. You can actually achieve real fitness. This is what CrossFit's really going to get into. Actually defining what it means to be fit. These people right now, they define what it means to be fit. Do we think we're going to be at this level? Hell no, I'm not going to be at that level. I don't even know if I'll ever run a sub 5 mile and then go directly into a heavy, beautiful form though. Let's just standardize this. It's got to be good form, right? Not that. And then go into 50, full hang, chin over bar pull-up. It could be strict. It could be with a beautiful arch and hollow kip. One right after the other. That's what these people can do. And that's what's CrossFit standardized. That's what this methodology, this idea of actually being fit as an individual. Again, it's all going to be relative, but that's the standard really CrossFit ended up just progressing to naturally because of this fitness methodology. Pretty impressive. Click, click, boom. So, CrossFit's going to define fitness. These were basic definitions of fitness when Greg was developing this methodology and this idea of constantly varied functional movement performed at a high intensity. These are not bad definitions at all. Being able to adapt, be resilient, perform activities with a little bit of jazz, getting up and off the ground with a little bit of jazz. But when we come to define this, we got to start with a few components. One is these 10 components of fitness: cardiovascular, respiratory endurance, just being able to move oxygen, breathe efficiently; stamina, using energy efficiently; strength, producing absolute force; mobility, your range of motion, your joints being able to perform. This one's my favorite: power, rapid force. It's not just because it's a great way to express your fitness, but it also plays a huge role, just like all of these, but in your longevity, because the first thing that will deteriorate as you age is your fast-twitch muscle fibers. That doesn't mean that you can't maintain power. You can through a variety of things that I'm going to write about later on the road. But just kind of keep note of that. Your speed, point A to point B, coordination, neurological movement patterns, agility. Can you get up and off the ground quickly? Can you go up and down from a squat quickly? Center of gravity, and being accurate. Can you throw a ball at a target? You know, those little things. So these 10 components, that's the first thing when we define fitness. A lot of things that Greg was seeing, and this is still a thing. You maybe just specialize, you just focus at one of these at a time. You're just saying, well, why don't we just find a program that integrates these as a whole? Okay. The next part, we have components and then we have domains. This stuff should be easy to digest for you guys if you come here on a day-to-day basis. Obviously, we know that we do movements. We work in these domains of monostructural exercises, right? These would be functional movement patterns, running, biking, rowing, swimming. We don't swim here. I can't swim, I'll tell you that much. Jumping and landing. Gymnastics, anything with your body weight, pushing, 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 pulling, pulling, pulling. Slips. Scaling, which is balancing. L-sits, inversions, planks, hanging, stretching, and mobility. Those are slips. So that's a gymnastics concept, mastering your body weight. Weightlifting, external load. It could be anything, right? Typically, we see Steph lifting a barbell here, which is what CrossFit will usually get stigmatized with, is just a barbell, which is really this much of the weightlifting that we should be performing. Kettlebells, dumbbells, odd objects, sandbags, medicine balls. And what's an exercise that maybe fits in to all these at once? Let's think. Well, something that's cyclical, monostructural, so maybe think of a wall ball. It's cyclical over and over and over again. There's a body weight component of just squatting up and down, and we have a light external load with anywhere from a 10 to a 20-pound medicine ball. So that integrates all of that with the movement. But again, we have components, we have these domains of fitness that we want to work into. Metabolic pathways. Let's not touch on this too much. This is sciencey stuff, okay?
Oh, okay, here, guys. We have our phosphagen, glycolytic, and oxidative. Word.
Okay? Just know that we want to be able to produce energy in short time frames, which would be like absolute force, maybe our 5-rep deadlift that we'll do today. That's going to be in this phosphagen energy system, maximum intensity. Go hard on that assault bike. Glycolytic, this medium time frame of working, maybe your 400-meter runs. Moderate threshold, and we have long, which is oxidative, basically your aerobic. So if we think about our breathing, right, that can maybe have a placement of how we know we're in these energy systems. Let's just say, for example, you go for a run, and maybe those first 3 minutes of your run, you feel like you have to breathe a lot, and then you kind of start coasting once you get past 3 minutes. That's how you know you make this transfer from this glycolytic to this oxidative. But again, is one better than the other? Trick question. Do I want to just do short stuff, medium stuff, high stuff? No, you want to do all of it. What's a Metcon? Metabolic conditioning. That's kind of the root of what CrossFit is, where we integrate this breathing aspect and this work and this intensity with these functional movements. And then how does this apply to your breathing? Right? When I'm pacing myself. If I breathe in through my nose, I'm probably in oxidative. If I'm going in nose, out mouth, I might be in that glycolytic. If I'm just on that assault bike, you might just be all phosphagen right there. So again, we have these components, we have these domains, we have these energy systems we want to work through. This is how we're defining what it actually means to be fit. Because someone may just be specializing in one component, one domain, one energy system. And that's great for them. But in CrossFit and our physical potential, how do we integrate all these things? But, big but, you can look the part, you can do the part, but you might not be the parts inside, physiologically. And this is the one thing that Greg really shifted his focus on within the CrossFit community, is about health. You might look all these things, but you might have poor blood pressure. You might have poor bone density, triglyceride levels. We want to measure these things. And health and your actual ability to be on this continuum of sickness, wellness, and fitness was very important. So Greg created this concept of CrossFit Health. And he really, really wanted to attack Big Pharma, Coca-Cola, that was really putting people in poor states of health, which is just, again, our typical culture. It's something that he's probably never going to win, but he's still going to keep fighting the great fight to make sure that we are taking other components that's not just physical and our physiological aspects. So, does nutrition play a role into this? You got to have a conversation with Coach Amy. Absolutely it does. You're going to find out exactly why nutrition is so important within the CrossFit methodology. That's why we have someone like Amy here working with nutrition, is that we want to fuel ourselves to be functional, to be well. We don't have a conversation. I do not have a conversation with you about fueling for your body composition. I get it. We want to look sexy. We want to feel sexy. We want to look sexy. Look, I get it, okay? But that's not the conversation we're going to have. We want to get these, it's just a byproduct. Your aesthetics is a byproduct. Our mental health is something we want to focus on. Amy's probably going to tell you, if you care about your aesthetics, you're probably having too many calories, probably not enough calories, not getting enough protein. Maybe you're boozing too much. Mental health. Are we actually well? Are we fit human beings if we're not taking care of physiological aspects, taking care of our mental health? And this is one thing that CrossFit makes it so unique, is that we can enhance these simply by giving you guys a positive outlook in the way you look at yourself physically, being able to perform all these different things, do all these different things, building confidence. Sleep's obviously a big thing, probably the number one thing. And obviously you sleep like poo-poo, well, your performance isn't going to be great. You're probably going to go all into that sickness a little bit, physiologically, emotionally, you're not going to feel great. But again, we want to take these into consideration. So when we have this community bonding, right, this accountability, this motivation, this whole emotional, spiritual aspect to enhancing our performance and being more fit as a whole, right, not just physically, that was a big part of Greg's mission. He knew that the group fitness model was the best model when it came to enhancing, again, your whole well-being. So this is what makes CrossFit super special.